Hi, my name is Robin Oakes, and this is my interpersonal communication project for HSCO 508 with Liberty University. Next slide, please. In this presentation, I will be discussing what is communication and interpersonal communication, enlarging the conversation, my overarching goals, how my background and behavioral blend influence my conversation, both positive and negative, potential barriers in my interpersonal context and how I am going to deal with each barrier, identify and provide solutions to noise pollution, internal and external, and a plan of action. Next slide, please. What is communication and interpersonal communication? According to Fleming 2012, communication is the act of conveying information for the purpose of creating a shared understanding. It's something that humans do every day. The word communication comes from the Latin communis, meaning to share, and includes verbal, nonverbal, and electronic means of human communication. According to Stewart 2012, communication is the continuous, complex, collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning making. According to Stewart, interpersonal communication is a subset of communication in general. This means that collaboration, choices, culture, identities, conversation, and nexting are all parts of interpersonal communicating too. We communicate in various ways throughout the day. However, interpersonal communication goes much deeper. This is the type of communication we would use with our friends, family, spouse, or children. Next slide, please. Enlarging the conversation. We communicate on a daily basis through an array of techniques such as email, verbal, nonverbal, sign language, letters, and body language. Many factors play into our role of communication throughout life. The way in which we communicate with others is a reflection of the person we are. If we communicate in a negative way, chances are we have been hurt, angry, or traumatized in some way. If we communicate with love, compassion, empathetically, or with a sense of care and concern, we are at a place of somewhat happiness and contentment in our lives. How we respond will determine the person that we are and the effect it will have on our relationships. Next slide, please. My overarching goals. To improve my listening skills, to help others, not by trying to solve their problems, but by helping them get on the right track in which to find their own solution to the problem. To be more aware of my body language when speaking or listening to others. To listen when others are talking, giving them my full attention and not overtalk them, giving the impression that what they have to say is not of importance. Next slide, please. My overarching goals continued. Stewart 2012 states, when a person is listening empathetically, he or she is receptive or sensitive to the full range of characteristics shared by the other person, but responds only with his or her own interpersonal characteristics. When communicating with others, I want to listen without agreeing, disagreeing, advising, or defending. Peterson, 2007. Next slide, please. My behavioral blend. My behavioral blend, according to uniquelyu.com, was SC. This means that I am passive, task and people-oriented, submissive, competent. According to this behavioral blend, I am a person that people expect to be balanced between people and task skills, while also being overly passive as opposed to being active and extroverted. People often see me as laid back and calm and do not see me as being a threat unless they mess with my family, security, or misrepresent the facts. Next slide, please. Behavioral blend continued. I am one who is seen as easygoing, but yet like the rule to be enforced. I am not assertive or bossy, but tend to protect my family or comfort zone when necessary. I am not one to seek to be the center of attention, but am good with individuals or a small group of people. Next slide, please. How my behavioral blend affects my listening skills positively. Positive aspects of having an SC behavioral blend. I enjoy solving problems. I dig for information people don't seem to know. I respond better to those who need my help. I don't respond to those who are dominant and confrontational. I like to please and serve others. I enjoy organizing tasks to improve outcome. And I tend to handle conflict better than most as I do not like disharmony and confusion. Carbonell, 2008. Next slide, please. How my behavioral blend affects my listening skill negatively. Negative aspects of having a SC behavioral blend. I often overdo researching, often seem withdrawn. Some may think I am antisocial. I like to do one thing at a time and do it right. Tend to get nervous in front of people. Carbonell, 2008. Next slide, please. Potential barriers in interpersonal communication and communication. Some of the physical barriers are fatigue, low energy, time lag factor, which causes fatigue, time of day, late evening. Semantic barriers, own meanings of words, filtering them through many varied beliefs. Talker uses 500 words and each word has between 20 to 25 meanings. Hearing only what it is you want to hear. Tuning out those things you don't want to hear. Burley Allen. Next slide, please. According to Joseph, 2014, cultural and language differences. In multicultural workplaces, cultural and language differences can impede communication. Cultural barriers can also take the form of a unique workplace environment where workers are expected to behave in a particular way to gain acceptance. For example, some workplaces exhibit an autocratic culture where differing points of view are not tolerated, which can limit communication. In addition, language barriers can result not only when workers have different native languages, but when they use jargon, buzzwords, or terminology that is unfamiliar to new workers who may feel excluded until they can master the lexicon. Gender issues. Differences between genders can create communication barriers in a number of ways. For instance, in a traditionally male-dominated work environment, women may have difficulty getting their ideas accepted, or they may be treated harshly or even ignored. Different communication styles can result in barriers, as men and women do not always form and express thoughts in the same manner. Some men may feel uncomfortable with or even resent working with a female supervisor, which can also get in the way of effective communication. Competition. In a highly competitive work environment, workers may be more concerned with their own career advancement than helping or communicating effectively with their coworkers. An atmosphere of distrust can also result, making it difficult for workers to perform in a collaborative manner due to fear or backstabbing. As a result, workers may be reluctant to share important information with one another. Competition can result in power struggles where certain individuals or factions within an organization fail to communicate with each other. Next slide, please. Noise pollution. Noise pollution is anything that can distract us while engaged in conversation from speaking or listening effectively. There are two types of noise pollutions, internal noises and external noises. Next slide, please. Internal noise pollution. Internal noise pollution, which affects us, are thinking of our own thoughts and ideas while in conversation. I have a very hard time getting my mind off of all of the tasks needing to be accomplished that day if the conversation does not seem important to me. Plan of action. I need to remember that anything one has to say is of importance and that I need to give them my undivided attention, as I would expect them to do if there was something that I needed to share. Next slide, please. External noise pollution. External noise pollution are those things around us that distract us from listening due to the noise around us. According to Burley Allen, some of these include talker not speaking loud enough, talker's body language, loud noises, traffic, machinery, room temperature, too hot or too cold, faulty acoustics making it difficult to hear. Next slide, please. Plan of action to achieve my overarching goals. Remember what communication and interpersonal communication is. Keep the goals which I have set for myself in mind. Be aware of my SC behavioral blend and how it affects my listening and communication skills. And learn how to control the internal and external noise pollution that I let interfere with my communication, ensuring that I give my full attention to the speaker. Next slide, please.